मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। So welcome to the Tuesday and the Thursday series on Vaishnav Ninda, part 2, which is a contemporary study. And as we know that as the last part of this theme, we have been discussing the pastimes from the Chaitanya Bhagavata on especially this important topic of Vaishnav Ninda and what practical lessons we can draw from these pastimes for our personal application. So from that perspective, we have been studying these pastimes. Initially from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, we saw the pastimes of Srila Haridas Thakur. And then we saw from the glories of Advaita Acharya. And then one of the most important themes is the deliverance of Jagan Madhai, which in the last class we had a short discussion. Major verses we covered. Today we will continue with that briefly, and then we will summarize everything today based on very important points drawn from Chaitanya Bhagavat by one of the articles which was published on this by a very elevated Vaishnavi, Srimati Mataji from Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. So with that, we summarize and we will end the discussion today on this theme. Of course, there are many other pastimes in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in the Madhya Leela and in the Antya Leela, but devotees can read for themselves and extract the lessons based on these three important discussions which I have done in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Otherwise, there is still a lot in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So today we will end up the discussion on the pastimes and the lessons. And we will look into a few points about this article on Vaishnav Ninda by Srimati Devidasi, and few important points we will try to go through, and they are also part of Chaitanya Bhagavata only. So let us now continue with our discussion what we had in the Chaitanya Bhagavata about deliverance of Madai. In fact, we elaborated quite in detail how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu to go house to house and beg people to take the name of Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Karo Krishna Shiksha. And how they were doing this, and how what was the response of the people of Navdvip, and how one day they saw these two sinful people, Jagai and Madai, and Nityananda Prabhu glanced at them, and just by his glance he delivered them. So the whole pastime, as it is unfolding, we saw briefly how Vrindavan Das Thakur mentions that although Jagai and Madai were the most sinful, but yet they had not committed Vaishnava Aparadh because they never associated with Vaishnavas. And the grievous consequences of Vaishnava Aparadh in few verses quite elaborately we had discussed. So now we continue the discussion of how ultimately they come and report to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu decides to deliver them because Nityananda Prabhu has shown mercy. And what are the events later on which happened? Especially we ended up in the discussion on text 160, where there is an argument between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda. And their fights, they were actually on the transcendental platform, and one who considers them as no difference of opinion within the Vaishnava circle and takes sides, what happens? We end up in criticism. So that's why that's the lesson in this text 160. So we continue with our discussion with the pastime. These two drunkards wandered from place to place and came to the bathing ghat where the Lord would take his bath in the Ganges. So that's how, by the Lord's arrangement, that Jagai and Madai came to that bathing ghat where Mahaprabhu is to bathe, because now their deliverance was arranged by divine arrangement. Yeah, it's here. By divine arrangement, they made a place they made that place their base, for which from which they would go out and raid various places. So when influential rich people heard, their hearts were filled with fear. No one went to the Ganges to take bath. If they went, they would go in groups of 10 and 20. And they were staying very near to the Lord's house, and they were listening to the Lord's Kirtan all throughout the night. Throughout the night, the Lord was absorbed in ecstatic Kirtan, and these two, Jagai and Madai, were absorbed in Madhyapan. They were intoxicated with wine, and they were hearing the sound of Kartal, Mridanga, and they would drink more and more. And when they heard the Kirtan, they would get up and they would dance. That was their imitation they were doing. So all that was adding the Agyat Sukruti. And when they would see the Lord, they would say, "Oh, you should sing the entire song of Mangala Chandi. You have expert singers who we wish to see. We will bring and give you whatever you need." So that's how they were speaking to Nimai Pandit. Seeing those miscreants, the Lord kept a distance. Others took another path and fled away. When they spoke like this to Nimai, the Lord, being very Gambhir and exemplary personality, he kept his distance. Others ran away. After wandering throughout the city one day, Nityanand went that night before the two. So now, here is how the whole pastime is going to happen about the deliverance of Jagai and Madai. Jagai and Madai shouted, "Who are you? Who are you?" Nityanand replied, "I am going to the Lord's house." Intoxicated by wine, they asked, "What is your name?" Nityanand replied, "My name is Avadut." Intoxicated in the mood of a child, Lord Nityananda spoke to the drunkards as his pastime. He had already decided, "I will deliver the two." That is why he came there that night. So he purposefully came. Uddharibe duijana hena ache mane ataiva nishchaya aila seistane. That's why he came. On hearing Avadut, Madai became angry. He picked up a clay pot and hit on the Lord's head. Now, from here onwards, the narration is quite graphically described by Kaviraj Goswami. I will not go into the verse to verse. Nityanand Prabhu was extremely calm and blood was oozing out from his body. When the devotees went and saw this scene, they rushed to Mahaprabhu and narrated the incidents. Mahaprabhu was immediately angry. He rushed to that spot and we saw Nityanand Prabhu, blood coming from his body. He just shouted, Chakra, Chakra. Immediately the Sudarshan Chakra came. And Madai was supposed to once again hit Nityanand Prabhu. But Jagai stopped him. At this point, both Jagai and Madai were seeing the Sudarshan Chakra and they were fearful. And Nityanand Prabhu said, Oh Lord, it is because of my providence that this has happened, and please forgive them. In fact, Jagai tried to protect me. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, yes, Jagai tried to protect you. So immediately Mahaprabhu pronounced a blessing. May you attain all benediction. May you attain pure devotional service. And immediately by the inconceivable potency of the Lord, Jagai attained pure love of God and he was trembling in ecstasy. And in fact, he was having the Chaturbhuj darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the same time, Madai thought, we both are drunkards. We equally share sins. Then how can he get mercy and I don't get mercy? So immediately he went and fell at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, please bestow mercy upon me also. Mahaprabhu was in real anger. He said, you have struck, you have harmed the body of my dear devotee Nityananda. Nityananda's body is more than dear than my own body. I will never forgive you. If you want to be forgiven, go to Nityanand Prabhu. So immediately, Magai went and fell at the lotus feet of Nityanand Prabhu. And Nityanand Prabhu, being very, very merciful, an ocean of mercy and compassion, forgave Magai. And not only forgave, and he embraced Magai and transmitted his energy, his spiritual Shakti in the heart of Magai also. Both Jagai and Madai were delivered like this. So this pastime is quite quite well elaborated in the Chaitanya Bhagavata, but we will not go into the verses. But here, when Jagai and Magai were just transformed and all the Ashta Sattvic Vikars, in fact, they all immediately attained Krishna Prem. Both of them attained Krishna Prem and they manifested ecstatic symptoms. Then Mahaprabhu instructed, this is there in verse 225, he instructed, Prabhu bole tora ara na karish pap, Jagai Madai bole ara nahi bap. So the Lord said, do not commit further sins. Do not commit further sins. Jagai and Magai, never again, O my Lord. So, moment we become free from the tendency to commit sins, especially Vaishnava Aparadh. Then we can get Namruchi and attraction towards Krishna, and then we will be able to free ourselves from samsara. But this they attained immediately. And then the Lord said, Listen, both of you, I have indeed delivered you today. I take full responsibility of whatever sinful activities you have performed in your previous millions of lives, provided you do not commit sin again. Now, this is a very important instruction. Provided you don't commit sin again. So as long as for us also we don't cross the stage of anarth nivritti, the propensity to commit sin is there, and we might sometimes also engage in sinful activities, although practicing devotional service. But as anarth nivritti we cross, as we cross especially the sadhana bhakti characteristics of kleshagni and come to shubhada. Kleshagni means prarabdha and aprarabdha are all destroyed. Then the Lord also protects us that we don't commit against sin. Till then, there is, because of our conditioning, we have this tendency. So after they were delivered, in fact, the pastime goes quite in detail that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu told now these two devotees that they are now pure Vaishnavas, they are Mahabhagavats. Get them to the Kirtan at the Shiva Sangan's house. So at the Shiva Sangan's house, everyone assembled there and there was Kirtan. Jagai and Madai were ecstatic and dancing in Krishna Prem. They were rolling on the ground, and then they offered very, very wonderful prayers. In fact, many, many verses glorify the glories of the two Lords, Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu. Jagai and Madai offer extensive glorification of the Kali Yuga avatars. And after this glorification, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that all your sins are destroyed. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself took all the sins and his body turned into black. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smilingly looked at Advaita Acharya and asked, "How am I looking, Advaita?" So Advaita Acharya said, "You're looking like Shyam Sundar," because it was black. And then he told the devotees to perform the Nama Sankirtan. Now, with the Nama Sankirtan happening, all these sins fled away. And where did they go and reside? They went and resided in the bodies of the Vaishnavas who commit offenses. So that is a very interesting pastime which also happens. And then there is an instruction which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives in the end, which I will now directly come to. That is in text 311. So in text 311, it is mentioned, Pera Uddharila Chaitanya Gosai Vaishnava Nindaka Kumbipake Dila Thani. In this way, Lord Chaitanya delivered the true drunkards and sent the blasphemers of the Vaishnavas to the hell known as Kumbi Pak. So those who blaspheme the Vaishnavas, all the sins go in their bodies, and ultimately they end in this destination. Nindayana bhade dharma sab papalab eteke na kare ninda sab mahabhag. Blasphemy does not enhance one's religious principles. Very important instruction. Nindaya na bade dharma. It only results in sin. Sabe papa labh. You only get sin. That is why fortunate souls, Sabe Mahabhag, do not engage in blasphemy. Eteke na kare ninda. So here, a really important point Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions. The devotees of the Lord do not blaspheme anyone in this world. One who blasphemes others is known as sinful or irreligious. It is sinful if you are blaspheming ordinary people, and it is aparadh if you are blaspheming Vaishnavas. Now, what is the reason we commit Vaishnav aparadh? Is because of finding faults. And here, to attribute on someone faults that are not present is called blasphemy. The fault is not there, it is not present, but you attribute some fault. This is called as blasphemy. This is the definition Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives. A person who out of envy attributes faults on an irreproachable Vaishnava must go to hell known as Kumbipak and suffer severe miseries. Those sinful persons who do not understand that Sarva Mahaguna Vaishnava Sharira, all good qualities are present in the body of Vaishnava, and you consider that non-Vaishnavas are equal to Vaishnavas, can achieve no or any benefit. So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs us. In fact, after transforming the two rogues into Mahabhagavats, Sri Gaurhari danced along with his associates. Overwhelmed from dancing, Vishwambar sat down and all the Vaishnavas sat down. Now, what does Vishwambar say? Their bodies were covered with 2 inches of dust, yet they were all filled with pure knowledge. Lord Gaur Sundar regained his former state. He was black, but now he had attained his gold kati. He smiled and spoke to everyone. So his instructions, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructions to the sinners, do not consider these two as sinners, for I have personally burned their sinful reactions to ashes. So this is the instruction Mahaprabhu is giving to his devotees. Now, if you remember in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's analysis, what is actually Vaishnava Aparadh? That previous to coming his spiritual life, if we speak about that sin, it is aparadh. So that is what Mahaprabhu is saying, that I have burnt their sinful reactions. In fact, a sadhaka, also when he takes up to bhakti, kleshagni is happening. And ultimately, the sinful reactions will be burnt to ashes completely. There is no doubt about it. The papa and the punya. In fact, if anyone knows at what stage the papa and punya is destroyed in the stage of bhakti, practice of bhakti, anyone knows, can raise their hands and answer. At what stage? Anyone has an idea? Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I heard from you only, Prabhu, in your classes. It is in Bhava stage, I heard.
There's no audio from your side. Yeah. What stage?
You are able to hear, Prabhu?
Now, yes.
Prabhu, I heard from you only. It is in Bhava stage, one will be free from that.
No, Pap and Punya. I am speaking about Pap and Punya now. Not
that is after Ruchi, Prabhu.
Yeah, even Ruchi and Asakti stage. In fact, at the stage of Nishta, Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu. At the stage of Nishta, almost it is destroyed, and fully Atyantiki. Atyantiki is referring to at the stage of Asakti, it is Pap and Punya is destroyed. At the stage of Bhava, Avidya is also destroyed. That is the point. So for us, it is happening. They are being burnt. But in Mahaprabhu's pastimes, everything was happening instantly. So then there are many other instructions Mahaprabhu gives, but with respect to Vaishnava Aparadh, these were the only instructions. And then in text 326, he makes another important point. If anyone ridicules these two, he will be ruined as a result of that offense. Considering their previous sinful activities, according to Narda Matrikanaya, the logic states that because one's mother was naked in her childhood, she should continue to remain naked, even though she has become mother of so many children. Those who in the future consider Jaga and Mada as sinful commit offense at their feet and bring about their own ruination. And here Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, in this regard, one should discuss two words, na prakritam iha bhakta janasya pashet and apichet suduracharo. Both in the second series, we had a quite elaborate discussion on these two verses. So this is also another important instruction he gives. And then after this, all the devotees of Mahaprabhu go to take bath. And then there is a water sports. There is a fighting which happens. And after this, Mahaprabhu comes back and the Kaviraj Goswami gives the final instructions in text 387. So from this pastime about Vaishnav Ninda, that is in text 387. So in text 387 it is said, Sabhara karibe gaura chandra se uddhar vyatarikta Vaishnava nindaka durachar. Gaur Chandra will deliver everyone except those sinful persons who blaspheme. Sabhara karibe Gaur Chandra say uddhar. He will deliver everyone. Vyati Rikta Vaishnav Nindak Durachar. Those who are Durachari, the most sinful are the blasphemers. He will not deliver. Then there is the heaviest of the heaviest statement you will come across. Shula Pani Samayadi Bhakta Ninda Kare Bhagavata Pramana Tatapiha Shigramare. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, even if someone on the level of Lord Shiva blasphemes a devotee, he will soon be destroyed. Mahad Vimanat Swakritadi Riddang Nakshate Adurat Api Sulapani. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Hena Vaishnava Ninda Ninde Yadi Sarvagya hoy Se Janera Andapata Sarva Shastra Koy. In all the scriptures, it is stated that if an all-knowing person blasphemes a Vaishnava, he will certainly fall down. Even after achieving all perfection, a person who criticizes the Vaishnava certainly falls down. This is the verdict of all the scriptures. So, this is quite heavy, you know. In fact, one becomes free from all sins except fine traces of aparadh even at the stage of bhava. But it doesn't affect the devotee. His attraction for Krishna is almost 100%. And even those traces are fully destroyed at the stage of prema. But Vaishnava Acharyas explain that even if somebody is on the stage of prema and commits Vaishnava aparadh, he will be destroyed. And here the praman is given of not of any ordinary soul, but Lord Shiva also. Then Sarva Mahaprashrita E Krishnera Nam Vaishnava Paradi Seha Namile Tran. Krishna's name, which is the ultimate atonement. Mahaprashrita, Krishnera Nam, does not deliver one who offends a Vaishnava. Vaishnava Aparadhi Seha Na Mile Tran. It doesn't deliver the Aparadhi. Now again, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has made a very important comment. The holy names of the Lord have more power for destroying sinful reactions than all other kinds of atonement mentioned in the Smritis. But if a person commits an offense against a devotee of Hari who is engaged in the chanting of those holy names, then he can never be delivered. Amongst the offenses against the chanting of the holy names, blasphemy of the sadhu is first. If one commits offense against the holy names, he cannot possibly attain namabhas or the fruits of chanting the holy name. So this is a very important reflection for us, that how powerful is the holy name, but why it is not delivering us? Because of Vaishnav Aparadh. One who honors the confidential words of the Padma Puran will attain ecstatic love of Godhead. Now, Padma Puran e Purana Vachan, Premi Bhakti hoy, ya karela palan. Now, the Padma Puran Vachan are what? These are the 10 offenses. Satam Ninda, the first offense is being mentioned. And then the Falashruti. One who hears this narration regarding the deliverance of two rogues will be delivered by Sri Gaura Chandra. Text 396. Sahasra Karuna Sindhu Mahakripamay Doshana Deki Prabhu Unamatralay. The Lord's supreme mercy is as vast as 1,000 oceans. Sahasra Karuna Sindhu Mahakripamay. He sees the good qualities of others. Dosha nahi deke Prabhu, guna matra laye, and never finds faults with them. So this is the Lord's quality, and we have to come to the standard that we only see the good quality in the Vaishnavas and never sees faults. Because Lord also doesn't see any faults. When Putana came to kill Krishna, smearing poison in her breast, Krishna saw not the demoness Putana, but that she had that slight motherly affection. That one good quality I saw, and with that one good quality, he delivered Putana. So this is the quality of the Lord, and that's how Kaviraj Goswami ends this discussion in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Now there are many more pastimes in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, especially the pastimes of how the Navadipasis were delivered. Now, again, it is a very long discussion, but I will be now summarizing few of the points from this article by Srimati Mataji, and we will just go through them quickly, these points, and I will share this PDF file with all the devotees also, so that you can also go through it. It summarizes everything. Before that, there is one question which I will take up, and then we will discuss the points from the article. Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, in one of our previous classes, you mentioned, Prabhu, that until unless one comes to near to the Madhyamadikari stage, he cannot really appreciate who Vaishnava is. So there is a natural tendency to commit Vaishnava in the neophyte stage. So you also mentioned that one should quickly, as far as possible, quickly come to Madhyama stage. So in the neophyte stage, when he is tend to commit Vaishnava, then what is the hope for him? Because the statements which you read out, they are not giving any hope at all.
Most important is that if one is chanting the holy names and not committing offenses, he will immediately come to the Madhyama platform. And only in the Madhyama platform, there is chances of committing offenses, thinking that I am superior and others are inferior. Whereas actually in the neophyte stage, one always considers himself as inferior and others as superior. So there is less chance of committing offense. But since he is not fully understanding the glories of the holy name, he fully doesn't take seriously to the path of chanting the holy name. Otherwise, he can quickly advance to the higher stages. The question of committing offense actually comes when one rises to the higher stage, not in the neophyte stage. In the neophyte stage, still one's vision is not developed, but one has a submission. He surrendered. He considers everyone as seniors and myself as juniors, himself as junior. So there is less chance of committing offenses. But real test is when one goes to the Madhyam platform, because one is on a higher platform now. One of the sannyasis was mentioning that one who is on the ground floor, the kid, is trying to crawl and he's trying to walk, he falls down. He doesn't get much hurt. But as he grows and goes and stays on the 10th floor, from the 10th floor, if he falls, then that is a real fall, which can break his bonds. So real fall down happens when you go to the higher platform of the Madhyamadikari, and from there, if you commit these grievous offenses, then it can really cause a fall down. Otherwise, as a sadhaka, you are like that child. You're trying to crawl and, just practice bhakti. So when you're trying to stand up, you fall down there. But nobody takes it seriously. So you're just in the threshold of bhakti. So real test is for the Madhyamadikaris in one sense. Okay. So Prashant Shanbhat Prabhu has another question. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, those who are in the Madhyama Adhikari stage, if they commit offense, then what is the remedy? How they can get out of that?
The remedy is that moment we become conscious that we have committed any of the Vaishnava aparadhs, especially the first aparadh, Sadhu Ninda, then we have to approach that Vaishnava and beg forgiveness. And we have to, first of all, repent in our heart and approach the Vaishnava, beg forgiveness. If his heart is still not, if his anger has not yet subsided, then we have to serve him for a long time. And then still if his heart, his anger has not come down, then we should lament that I'm such a sinful person, and then take fully shelter of the holy name. We should not consider, why should I lower myself and repeatedly ask forgiveness from him? A Vaishnava should have good qualities. He doesn't have good qualities. If I say like this, then my aparadh increases. So one should consider himself more fallen and take to the recourse of the holy name. But the first thing is he has to sincerely repent in his heart, and with a repentant heart, he has to go and ask forgiveness from that Vaishnava. Some of the other points will also come in this presentation, which I will be taking quickly. Yes, Prabhuji, you have another question?
Prabhu, in case that person doesn't know that he has committed a mistake, then how he will go and approach? So what happens in that?
If a devotee doesn't know that he has committed mistake, how will he come to know how he has committed offense? He will understand in his chanting the next day. And the next day you chant, you don't get the taste. Something is wrong. So then one has to little do introspection and investigate. Oh, what went wrong? Maybe my dealings with the Vaishnava, something has gone wrong. Some Vaishnava is upset with me. So why? What is the reason? Maybe in my dealings, something has gone wrong. So then one has to, introspect and do that. Sometimes in our chanting also Krishna will reveal us. He will reveal us. And if it is an aparadh because it is coming from a previous life, then nothing can be done. We don't know. We have to fully take the shelter of the holy name. Okay. Fine. So any other questions or clarifications we have? We'll just now take half an hour, these important points on Vaishnav Ninda. Birendra Yadav Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is referring Bhagavad Gita verse 9.31, where Lord Krishna declares that Kaunteya pratijanihi nami bhakta pradasyati. And Prabhuji, with context of this Vaishnav Ninda, how to understand this? Because there Lord is saying ki name bhakta pradasyati, my devotee will not fall down.
Yeah, not the Nindakas. It is the devotee who himself he's a dharmatma actually, because he although because of his conditioning he might commit something sudurachara, but he doesn't leave devotion. Seeing his sudurachara activities, other Vaishnavas, they find faults and criticize. They will attain a bad destination. But such a devotee, who although because of his conditioning he is going through trouble, but he doesn't leave the lotus feet of Krishna, samyak vyavastito hi ananya bhag. Krishna says, I will protect his consciousness, but not the Vaishnav Nindaks. That is not referring there to the Vaishnav Nindaks there. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
So now we will go through these points very quickly from this article. This was very inspiring article for me also. This is on beware of the mad elephant offense, Vaishnav Ninda. This is presented by Srimati Devi Dasi, very exalted Vaishnavi who stays in Vrindavan, and she has composed this. So there are 4 or 5 themes here. The soul destroying nature of fault finding and criticizing. In fact, we criticize because we find faults. What is Vaishnava Aparadha? It is a death knell for the soul. And what should I do if I am criticized? This is a very important point. The second point here it is that Haridas Thakur, we have seen this. We have seen this pastime quite in detail. I will not go through that time. And I am an offender. What should I do? This question is very important for devotees. And we will take this in little detail. And what are the benefits of not blaspheming devotees? This is from Chaitanya Bhagavata few points. And what is the safest way to prevent offenses? So these are the themes which, based on the themes, particular quotations from the Chaitanya Bhagavata have been picked up. But I was also going through these verses. No? Similarly, those verses have been put into themes. So let us now go from the Chaitanya Bhagavata. Excerpts from the Chaitanya Bhagavata. If one living entity feels hatred or envy towards another, this is ultimately a reflection of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. This point we had brought out in the first class also. Now, this first theme, the soul-destroying nature of fault-finding and criticizing devotees. Madhya Leela, chapter 19. And we had seen this verse, but we'll just go through. Sri Gaur Sundar has advented specifically deliver all the fallen souls, with the exception of those who find fault with Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Just to prove this point, Lord Chaitanya ate and rested in the drunkard's home, but avoided the company of so-called learned Vedic sannyasis. One must be careful to avoid the Lord's wrath, and those who flout the Lord will suffer eternal punishment in the hands of Yamraj, the god of death. So this is that Vamachari sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited him, ate and slept, whereas he avoided the Vedantist. So this is the lesson. The Vedas clearly describe that if one hears criticism of a Vaishnava devotee of the Lord, he loses all his accumulated piety and is cast into abominable conditions of life, birth after birth. Any person who sides with one Vaishnava against another Vaishnava and thus criticizes him is destined to be destroyed. So this we saw in this pastime only, text 160, it was there here. Devotees who are narrow-minded and who are bigoted start fighting over petty matters. Kanishta means neophyte. Neophyte means new fights. So always bringing up some new fights. This is a serious deviation from the path of spiritual realization, and so a truly knowledgeable devotee will refrain from taking sides in such disputes. So we should not take sides when there are disputes. Now this was Madhya Leela from the Padma Puran. We saw this verse just now, so I will not take up this. Now, if a very elevated soul acts in a manner that appears offensive, and he is ridiculed or even just criticized, then the critic is surely doomed. So even elevated souls, if they act in a manner which might appear offensive to us, and if we ridicule him or criticize him, then the critic, the person who criticizes, is doomed. This is in the Antya Leela. Generally, sometimes extreme and even apparently harsh activities of exalted and self-realized Vaishnavas are not understood by the common man. But if out of ignorance or envy they criticize these elevated Vaishnavas, such offenders pave their way of hell or to hell. This is again in Antya Leela. Anyone who offends a Vaishnava and criticizes him has to suffer terrible consequences life after life. A person's piety, education, and austerity are all rendered worthless by criticism of Vaishnavas. And should the offender attempt to worship Sri Krishna, this also will be useless, for the Lord will certainly refuse to accept such offerings. This is the Antilila. So very, very heavy statements on this, and then this past time we saw how Mahaprabhu was looking black because of Lord Krishna. Lord Chaitanya began to laugh at Advaitacharya's words, and all the Vaishnavas became ecstatic and expressed their joy and jubilant sounds. Lord Chaitanya then said, begin Kirtan, and this black shroud of sin will lift from my body and enter the bodies of those who criticize the devotees of the Lord. So this point I made, very important it is. Lord Chaitanya will deliver everyone with the exception of those who are critical of Vaishnavas and those who act against the teachings of the Vaishnavas. This is also point we saw from the verse itself we saw. And this also we saw, one never advances in spiritual life by finding faults in other Vaishnavas. In fact, only sinful reactions are increased. So certainly give up your fault finding. Antilila. The Lord has certainly described the horrific results of offending a Vaishnava. In spite of hearing this, if a person is still so foolish as to indulge in criticism and blasphemy of the Vaishnavas, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally beat out the due punishment. The scriptures instruct that spiritual goals are unattainable through criticism of others. The dharma expounded by Bhagavatam is to respect everyone. Sakala sammana korite shakati, dehonata yata yata. Raising both his arms, Gaurchandra declared to the world, give up offensive attitude of criticizing Vaishnavas and chant the Lord's holy name. Anyone who practices this will surely be delivered by me. Madhya-lila chapter 19, we saw this. Now, this is a very important theme which devotees many times ask questions. And if I am an object of ongoing criticism and petty politicking, like politics is being played against me, what should I think? What should I do? How many of you have this question? Please raise your hands. How many of you feel you have this very serious and important question? If devotees are criticizing me, they are doing politics against me, what should I think and what should I do about it? So very powerful insights from Prabhupada's purports. Now here, Prabhupada is, you can lower your hands. Prabhupada is saying in Bhagavad Gita 13.8 to 12, tolerance means that one should be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. We have to be tolerant to bear insults and dishonor. If one is engaged in the advancement of spiritual knowledge, there will be so many insults and so much dishonor from others. This is expected because material nature is so constituted. This is how we should be firmly grounded in the Shastric knowledge. It is the nature of this material world that you will be insulted, you will be dishonored if you are making advancement. Even a boy like Prahlad, who was only 5 years old, was engaged in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, was endangered when his father became antagonistic to his devotion. The father tried to kill him in so many ways, but Prahlad tolerated him. So there may be many impediments to making advancement in spiritual knowledge, but we should be tolerant and continue our progress with determination. So this is a very powerful insight Prabhupada is giving. Suppose you are in this Krishna conscious society. Now you can expect that all the members of the society will be first class men. You cannot expect. How can we expect? We are collecting members from the society from all classes of men. So there may be a man in goodness, a man in passion, and a man in ignorance. But if you think, oh, this man is not good, that man is not good. Oh, no, you should be tolerant. You haven't got any connection with this man or that man. you are connected with the philosophy, with the process of life, and you are connected. Just like the same example, suppose you are on the ship, you do not find just all men to your choice. There may be different kinds of men, but what is that you to you? You have to cross the Atlantic Ocean, patiently cross. Just sit down tightly on the ship and take advantage of the opportunity. That is your business. So Srila Prabhupada, based on this 10.4 lecture, he's saying, especially when this is an important analogy Prabhupada is giving to bring us to the actual reality that we have our nature. We might be in goodness, so we will like other devotees who are also in goodness. But some are of different nature and we have a kind of dislike. So we are still caught in raga and dvesh. And that's why in the association of Vaishnavas, we still feel that friction, and sometimes we have tussles and quarrels, and we feel like, let me leave this asanga and go. This is like you have taken a cruise ship ride from Bombay airport to New York. And in that journey, there are many kinds of people. Some you can gel with, some you cannot gel with. What has that to do? You have to go and reach America. So you have joined this movement to ultimately attain back to Godhead, go back to Godhead. So if you cannot gel with someone, will you make the foolishness of jumping from the ship and drowning yourself? No, you will never make that. So why do we do that foolishness of leaving the association of Vaishnavas and trying to practice bhakti independently? Prabhupada says, if somebody is trying to practice Krishna consciousness outside the Krishna conscious movement, in the association of devotees, he is in hallucination. Prabhupada says, hallucination. Nothing else, it is hallucination, he says. So this is a very important. Now the third important quotation is, recognize, accept and finalize the karmic entanglement. A devotee does not become his enemy's enemy. He thinks, this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds. So it is better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Tatte anukampa shu sumiksha mano punjana evatma kritvipakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress and has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment I am due. I am just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient, despite many distressful conditions. So this is also a very, very important lesson for us. And we should take these lessons very, very seriously in our life. Aim to transcend all dualities. So next thing what you should do, a devotee is always free from all bad associations. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But a devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy, distress or happiness. He is very patient. So ultimately we have to transcend to all this criticism and praise. If others try to put a devotee into anxiety, he is not disturbed. It is by the grace of the Lord that he is so practiced that he is not disturbed by any outward disturbance. Then how we should see those who criticize us, forgive the offenders. Now all these points we learned from Haridas Thakur's pastime. Haridas Thakur was punished and he said, because I heard Vaishnava Prad, the Lord gave me a token. Shama, tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. The duty of the Brahmana is to culture the quality of forgiveness, which is illuminating like the sun. Forgiveness is illuminating the heart like the sun. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. So In the course of our interaction in the Sangha of Vaishnavas, there will be always some or other things which will happen wrong, and you might commit Vaishnava aparadh or criticize devotees or find faults. And we might be criticized also. But Prabhupada gave a very important sutra: forgive and forget. Just forgive them and forget the whole incident. To err is human, to forgive is divine. And then these two verses from the Uddhav Gita we have already seen in our initial class in the Vaishnav Ninda by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now, the next theme is Vaishnava Aparadh, death knell for the soul. Now, this is from the Antilila 10th. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Gadadhar Pandit, be very careful that you do not commit any offenses to your Guru, the one who instructed you in the Ishta Mantra. As long as your Mantra Guru is present, you cannot go elsewhere, not even come to me. This would jeopardize the spiritual life of both you and me. So this is when Gadadhar Pandit committed offense to Pundrik Vidyanidhi when he saw his externals. Mukund understood, and Mukund recited a verse from the Bhagavatam, and Pundrik Vidyanidhi went into ecstasy. Then he understood, oh, he's a Mahabhagavat. And then he, as a remedy, he decided to take initiation from Pundrik Vidyanidhi. This is a pastime, and maybe there Mahaprabhu is instructing. Now, it's a very important point here from the Madhya Lila, 22nd chapter. If a disciple commits Vaishnava Aparadh, even the spiritual master cannot protect the disciple against the wrath of the Lord. Furthermore, even the Guru is hard pressed to protect himself from the reactions of Vaishnava Aparadh committed by his disciples. If the Guru is in a very elevated stage of devotion, then he can protect himself alone and not his disciple. But if he is not so elevated, then along with the disciple, he sinks down into hell. Such a heavy statement. Now this is regarding Shiva, we saw that. Just now we discussed it, so I will not take up. Association where Vaishnavas are offended may consist of highly pious persons. However, all their good fortune will be diminished by their Vaishnava Aparadh. If even an assembly of renunciates and sannyasis offend Vaishnavas, such an assembly is more irreligious than a group of drunkards. For the drunkards, there is a still chance for salvation. But for those who are critical of Vaishnavas, there is no hope for liberation. This is also a verse we had discussed. Now in the Antilila, Lord Krishna says, the consequences of ridiculing a devotee of the Lord are very severe. Even perfected yogis suffer heavily if they disrespect a Vaishnava. What to mention about lesser humans? An offender of Vaishnavas has to pay a heavy price life after life. I am delving into this subject for your benefit so that you may learn from this and never insult a Vaishnava. If a person worships me and chants my name, but offends a Vaishnava, he has to suffer severe setbacks in his devotional life. But for those who love and respect my devotees, I make myself easily available to them. So just love and respect the Lord's devotees. Then you'll attain the love for Lord. You'll purchase the Lord. Lord Chaitanya spoke out in a voice that resembled a thunderclap. Now listen to me attentively. I say truly that those who worship me directly but neglect my servants and devotees are the most despicable of wretches. They are cutting my body into pieces. Their worship is like burning cinders on my body. He who criticizes and offends my devotee will be vanquished by my name. The Naam will destroy him. In this way, I show my compassion for him. Every living entity is my servant, and I cannot tolerate violence to any of them. I destroy anyone who tries to hurt my servants. This is from the Madhya Lila. We had seen this also. To criticize a Vaishnava devotee is 1,000 times more sinful than offending an ordinary living entity. So we saw the difference between papa and sin. So sin 1,000 times multiplied is aparadh in one sense then. The scriptures are strong in condemning offenses against the Vaishnavas. An erudite scholar is not saved by his spiritual readings. Even a person engaged in chanting Lord Krishna's holy name is not spared punishment if he offends a Vaishnava. This is from the Madhya Lila we just now saw. If a person is well versed in all the four Vedas, but still maintains an offensive attitude towards the Vaishnavas, he is eternally doomed to the worst kind of hell. Only the most wretched sinner will judge a Vaishnava by caste, race, or nationality, and for doing so, he suffers the pangs of repeated birth in the lowest species of life. This is in the Madhya Lila. Do you remember know any other verse which also warns like this? Any verse which is composed by the Gaudiya Acharyas about this? That those who judge the Vaishnava by caste, race, nationality, that is like Vaishnava Aparadh. Anyone knows any verse connected to it? It is nectar of instructions, drushte swabhava janita vapushcha. According to scriptures, even the most powerful person is destroyed by Vaishnava Aparadh. Thereby, if one disregards the instructions of the scriptures and commits Vaishnava Aparadh, he has to suffer the hellish life of a sinner, life after life. The dacoit suffers but one lifetime of hell, whereas the Vaishnava offender goes through endless miseries. Thus, the dacoit is far better than one who is offensive to Vaishnavas and thereby offends Sri Vishnu himself. This is from the Madhya Lila, chapter 20. A proud ignoramus, that means ignorant, who mocks the devotee of the merciful Lord, considering them fools or people suffering in paucity, that means they are in poverty, surely goes to the hellish region known as Kumbipak. That is the inevitable punishment for his transgressions. Madhya Lila, chapter 9. One who disrespects a devotee who is fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Sri Vishnu commits a great offense at the very lotus feet of Lord Vishnu himself. Now this is the Antilila 1. The Supreme Lord has advented as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver all living entities with the exception of those atheistic, sinful reprobates who offend Vaishnavas and commit sins on the strength of the holy name. So Vaishnav Ninda and Namno Baladiyasya Papuddhi. Those who are inimical towards the Vaishnavas will be deprived of Lord's mercy. Lord Chaitanya's name is so potent that even the demons have a change of heart by chanting his names and glories. Yet the devilish reprobates do not accept this mercy, nor do they have in the power of his holy name. So those who criticize, especially. Now, Haridas Thakur's pastime is mentioned, which we have discussed, so I will skip this. Now, the next theme is, I am an offender. What should I do? Oh my Lord, I have committed a grievous offense by criticizing Vaishnava. Kindly tell me how I may mitigate my sin. Now, this is there in the pastime itself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving reply. Sri Chaitanya smiled upon hearing the straightforward and the honest confession of the Brahmana. He said, please listen, O Brahmana. If you have taken poison, if one who has taken poison is administered nectar, the drink of immortality, then gradually the effects of poison weaken and the body becomes immortal. So now I will reply to your question and tell you how this nectar works. All the criticism you have made, although unwittingly, are equivalent to having drunk poison. Now you must drink the nectar of the name and the pastimes of Sri Krishna with that very same mouth. From now on, use the same tongue that offended Vaishnavas to glorify them. Above all other activities, constantly glorify the Vaishnavas through songs, poems, and in any other way. So, any devotee knows, are there any poems on Vaishnava Prad. Anyone knows any poems on Vaishnava Prad? Anyone has any idea can raise their hands. There is one very famous poem, if you are aware, on Vaishnava Prad, because glorify the Vaishnavas is what is the theme mentioned. Anyone has any idea about a very famous poem which is well known in the Gaudiya Vaishnava circles? It is, yeah, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji. Amara Jivan, no, it's not Amara Jivan. Amara Jivan is self-reflection for internal purification of the Anarth Nivritti. But Devaki Nandan Das, there is a pastime also where he had committed Vaishnava Aparadh and then he rectified and then he has sung this wonderful song, Vrindavana Vasiyata Vaishnavaragan Sabar Charana Kari Vandan Navdeepa Vasiyata Mahaprabhurgan Sabar Charana Kari Vandan. So these are the kind of songs also we should also sing. Not able to find it. I tried to find it. So here it is recommended that we should sing Vaishnava songs, poems, and in any other way. The ambrosia of Krishna's pastimes is transcendently blissful and can easily dissolve all the poisonous effects of criticism of Vaishnavas. I am telling you truly, glorification of the Vaishnavas in the pastimes of Krishna is a method of purification of one who has criticized a Vaishnava unknowingly. If one gives up such malpractices and offensive behavior and constantly glorifies the Supreme Lord and his unalloyed devotees, then one can destroy all sins. Otherwise, millions of pious activities and penances cannot counteract the offenses committed against a Vaishnava. Millions of pious activities and penances cannot counteract. Therefore, go on and practice glorifying the devotees of the Lord, and you will surely become free from all sins. The devotees became very happy when they heard these wonderful instructions and they responded by chanting Hari Hari. The Lord had nicely explained the method of exoneration from the offense of Vaishnava blasphemy. One who disregards these instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and criticizes a saintly person must drown in the ocean of grief, and those who accept these instructions of Chaitanya as Vedic truth can smilingly cross over the ocean of defiance. This is then the Anti Leela. Now the one more theme is the benefits of not blaspheming devotees. Those intelligent souls who avoid blasphemy of the saintly Vaishnavas attain Lord Krishna and pure love and devotion for the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So this is the benefit. Blasphemy of the Vaishnava only brings the greatest sin. The pious souls who do not blaspheme the Vaishnavas and engage in pure devotional service of the Lord certainly become very, very fortunate. Therefore, the true devotees of the Lord never offend anyone. If just once one calls out Krishna without offense, then certainly Krishna's sacred name easily delivers one. This is the absolute truth. This is the absolute truth. This is the absolute truth. So we saw that we in fact spent one entire class when we were discussing from the Vaishnav Ninda of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from the Padma Puran Chaitanya Charitamrita. One name of Krishna delivers, provided it is taken offenselessly. One who is not offensive and critical of others and who always chants Krishna's holy name will soon be able to captivate with his love the uncontrollable and the invisible Lord Chaitanya. This is the Madhya Leela. Now the last theme is the safest way to prevent offenses. The safest way to behave and prevent offenses is to be humble towards everyone and respectful towards all. Now this sutra, if we can carry with us always, Trunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi sahishnam amani namanadena kirtaniya sada hari. Sakale sammana korite shakati dehonata yata yata. So this is these two important sutras. If we are carrying in our heart always and taking the holy name, then we will experience the glories of the holy name, and these holy names will reveal the glories of the Vaishnavas, and we will not see faults in the Vaishnavas. Take full shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna and be mindful of the words spoken by saintly souls and elevated perceptors. This will attract the grace of Sri Krishna in the form of good intelligence, which will always protect one from all harm and remove all obstacles on the spiritual path. This is there in the Antilila. I offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas so that I may be cleansed of all sins and offenses. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhe evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Vaishnavas are so wonderful that just by offering obeisances, all the sins and offenses will be destroyed. So we should offer respects to the Vaishnavas. So the Vaishnavas are one who will elevate you to the spiritual world, back to Godhead. And the same Vaishnavas, if you commit offense, they will straight take you back down in the hellish conditions of life. And then this is a beautiful prayer of Prahlad Maharaj. It reveals the heart of Prahlad Maharaj. Swasti astu vishwasya khala prasidatam. May there be good fortune throughout the universe. Swasti astu vishwasya. And may all envious persons be pacified. Khala means envious. Prasidatam, let me be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Dhayanto bhutani shivam mito dhiya. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Manascha bhadram bhajanat adokshaja. By practicing devotion to adokshaja, they bhutani shivam. They will think about the welfare. Let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in the thought of Him. Aveshatam no matir ap ahetuki. So this is a very beautiful verse from Prahlad Maharaj in the 5th canto. So that's how the last theme ends up here. So we have finished this second series, the contemporary study, the last theme, which was about pastimes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there are many other pastimes, as I was mentioning, but I thought we should end up here because there are many pastimes in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and each will take at least 2-3 classes. So I thought with Jagai Madai, we will end, and then everything in the form of summary, these quotations which we had a short discussion is there, and you can refer this quotations and practically refer the pastimes from the Chaitanya Bhagavat and read them and draw lessons out of it. So I thank all the devotees for participating in this series of seminars. It has been a great learning for me also, and hopefully for all of you. So I thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.